Welcome, guys. Ho, ho, ho. So this is your 21st health hack. And obviously we're doing it at a different time and the sun's down and you're not at work and you're not crammed and stressed and all that and worried about how you're going to eat. So we are going to go into the new year, 2018, doing these health hacks at 7:30. Now some of you are looking at your watch right now and you're saying, well, it's 7:42 or 7:45. Yes, I'm late. I'm tardy. I apologize. But that's because I had to call a special friend. His name is Chris. He's been known, his last name has sometime been associated or called Kringle. And this guy doesn't really have to, he really needs no introduction. And really, he needs no introduction from like the way he like kind of gravitates around the universe, right? The guy doesn't really have to worry about I-5 or 78 or fires or anything like that because he just kind of just like hovers above it, okay? So this is my buddy Chris. And I thought I would introduce him, thought I would bring him out because, you know, this is the season where we need to start thinking about everything we're in gratitude for and everything we're thankful for. So today I'm going to talk to you about a book, and it's an amazing book by Dr. Caroline Leaf. It's called Switching on Your Brain, okay? And this lady's like PhD, MBA, double stamp to the second degree, third power, right? Like neurologist. And she talks about neurology, but she talks about the neurology, how it relates to scriptures. So she talks about neuroplasticity and the Bible and the connections our brain makes, and biblically how some of these emotional thought processes we have and some of the things that hold us back emotionally, what the Bible says about that. And regardless of whether you believe in the same things I do spiritually or not, what a blessing it is to be able to just have somebody that's willing to look at anything from a spiritual and scientific perspective, because you don't see that real often, where somebody's willing to say, okay, here's my religion, I want to go out on a limb here, I want to show you what I believe spiritually, and I want to connect that to what's going on emotionally in your body. So before we step into that, I've got one more little public service announcement for you. If you haven't gotten your nice little cute little Christmas card yet, I'm going to put Chris down for a second. Don't want to harm him. We don't want to subluxate that guy. If you haven't gotten this beautiful little Health from Within Christmas card, want to make sure you get that. Stop by the front desk and we got a little lovely message for you on the back. But this is little Cord Man, and he's walking around and moving around town and all that stuff. And so you definitely need this as you enter the Christmas holidays. And just little public service announcements about what's going to be going on in the practice as far as the holidays. We definitely want to get you in, keep you unsubluxated. Tomorrow, the office is going to be open. Wednesday, the office is going to be open. But then we will be closed until Thursday, the 28th and the 29th. But we will be open from 10 to 1 and 4 to 7 both days, okay? So really important to understand that. We'll close down for a couple more days and we'll come back in the new year strong January 3rd. Okay, so really want to make sure you know that, you understand that. We keep your appointments up to date. And I had one more announcement. Oh yes, January 11th, we are doing the advanced healthcare class, and we're moving the times up going into the new year. So the last adjustment in this office will be given at 6:30. The advanced healthcare class for 2018 will always start at 7 o'clock p.m. because we're going to try to get more people to be able to come. People, you know, they're dozing off, and I mean, sometimes I'm boring. Maybe you're dozing off right now. Hopefully not. But we want to try to increase the likelihood that we're not going to have people dozing off and people are going to be able to stay engaged. Okay? So now for the meat and potatoes. So you're probably going to go to some dinner, and you're either going to get pig or you're going to get chicken or turkey or who knows what you're going to make for your family. And you're going to be with that one family member that maybe you love and you show compassion because of what your Creator tells you to do, and you're peaceful, but inside you're like kind of seething. Maybe it's that sibling that threw a Nintendo remote control at your eyeball or your face. Me and my brother, we used to do that towards each other, and we would actually use them as nunchucks, which was very interesting, these hard plastic controllers. So you can kind of imagine the way that felt. Or maybe you're just sitting across from somebody and you've never gotten along with them. Maybe you don't know them. I don't know. But I really thought that entering the new year and going into the holiday season, that really having another kind of conversation about how to work with our emotions would be really good. And I know nothing better than this amazing book by my friend, Dr. Caroline Leaf. And I don't say she's my friend because I like personally know her or anything. I just think she's really cool. So I'm calling her my friend, okay? So I don't have her cell phone. We're not on digits. I don't text her, all that stuff. But amazing lady, right? So we're talking about the integrity of the brain. I encourage you, read the whole book, but these are some snippets. I've read it several times, and these are always things that I go back through and I kind of highlight. The whole book is amazing. And what it talks about regarding neuroplasticity, which is just the connections in your brain that your brain forms with emotions that you have. And how that wiring can be rewired. Like we can kind of change the hardware of our thoughts and our emotions by different things that we verbally say, different things that we write on paper, different choices we make. Like our thoughts are so powerful. You know, it starts out at the beginning of the book to show the difference between a negative thought pattern and what it'll create, and a person that has a desire and choice to shift that thought pattern, and how it affects us physiologically too. So here's a little snippet I want to read for you. I'm not going to read too much to you because I just don't want to read to you. I want to talk to you. But in the brain builds a foundation, and that foundation has integrity, which means you are using words and actions to line up the thought with the beliefs and feelings. The amygdala provides input to the mind about the emotions. So the first step that Dr. Caroline Leaf is going to recommend when we're kind of working with this process of kind of integrating our thoughts, changing our thoughts, and really getting our thoughts to be more positive and productive for us, and really changing those neurochemicals, is going to be to gather. She says that as you gather, you identify the toxic thought in the breakdown process. You immediately, and she says prayerfully, but you could, if you don't believe that, you could go into meditation and consciously think of a replacement thought. So for example, my God will supply every need of yours according to his riches and glory, Christ Jesus. So for you, like let's say maybe you're a New Age person or you believe in the universe or something like that. Maybe there's a negative thought pattern going through your brain that's like of a lack message. There's not enough. Or maybe it's the holiday season and you're wondering how you're going to do that last minute shopping, or maybe the zeros aren't there in the bank account, right? And so you're telling yourself there's not enough, I'm not good enough. So maybe an affirmation of I am good enough, I am strong, I will succeed. And really you're just saying that affirmation is all about saying it as if it's already happened, right? I am going to succeed. I know I'm going to win. I know I'm going to bless the community. I know I'm abundant, right? I know I'm constantly growing and working on becoming a better version of myself. So maybe if you're not proud of some things you've done recently, or maybe you're condemning yourself, right? Those are the types of messages that we want to do. So you want to identify the breakdown process and immediately go into replacing that thought with a positive thought. And I call this like monkey talk. That's something I probably talked to you guys about before. When we get that negative, thought pattern in our brain that we're not good enough, or we suck, or we're overweight, or we don't look good, or the tie that we're wearing has a booger on it, or whatever it is for you, right? That's not true, and you could have a booger on your tie, in which case you just wash it off or get it dry cleaned, right? It's not a big deal. But replace that negative thought with a positive one. What's step 2? Focused reflection. Grow and integrate healthy branches of your brain by reflecting on the positive and not just dwelling on the negative. So really reflecting on that positive reflection of what's occurred that day. So really going into a state of attitude with gratitude, right? Not allowing that circumstance or that situation to limit you. Really being able to flip that. And guys, it's not like we've arrived or we figured this out, right? We're constantly working on it. I struggle with patience and anger. I'm constantly working on those things. And some days I do better than others, right? And I could rationalize that. I could make excuses for that. But that's the reality of the situation. But in every moment I have a choice to choose, how do I want to show up? Do I want to shift that? How quickly do I want to shift that? Do I want to stay in my past wounds? Do I want to be a victim? And we all have that choice to do that, right? And sometimes that's hard when we're being kind of directed. The universe is kind of directing us, or God's directing us and changing. That change is uncomfortable, isn't it? I mean, recently I've had a lot of shifts personally in the last 6 months, and I can tell you that none of the shifts were necessarily comfortable for me. There was crying involved at times. There was anger involved at times. There was frustration. There was guilt. There was condemnation of feeling like, man, I really suck. And then I had to go in gratitude about, well, look at everything that's working. Look at everything that God's been able to do through me, and look at the fact that I'm even aware that this is actually occurring. Actually being conscious that it's happening. And that's how impressive neuroplasticity is and your thoughts in your brain. You can choose to shift it at any moment in time. And that's what this book so beautifully and eloquently talks about. So step 3 is write. Add more information and links with other branches by writing the positive alongside the negative. So the way I consider this is kind of what's working, what's not working, along with that thought. So the first is gather and start to immediately shift the thought. And then focused reflection on the original negative thought and what you shifted it to. And then you want to write down what's working and what's not working. And then you want to revisit. So you are doing the same thing in the breaking down and building up process here. The steps cross over because you are planning the solution to replace the problem. This starts stabilizing branches, they're talking about in your brain, to firm up and glue the bonds in your brain, to change the emotion. And number 5, the last step, is active reach. This is the same step as in the breakdown process, but here you actually do the active reaches. This strengthens the new thought branches. And so it goes into detail about what steps 1 through 5 are throughout the book, but I just wanted to give you kind of like a brief summary or summation of really what this book is about and how it does it. And, you know, it talks about on page 198 how you can make this a 21-day like cycle. And that's what she's recommending. She's recommending for 21 days, you go out and you actively work these steps. And obviously, I just breezed over the steps, guys. Okay? But it's really shifting the thought pattern, making the choice, gathering it, having focused reflection around it, writing it, right? And then you're going to go into the last 2 steps, which again are going to be revisiting that thought and active reach. So hopefully I've kind of raised a little bit of awareness. Maybe you're like, oh my goodness, that made no sense, or it kind of made sense, or I kind of understand it, which is beautiful because now you're going to get the book. Right? And it's like, I don't know, 10 or 12 bucks on Amazon, something like that. I went ahead and I got the audio too. This was probably, I don't know, 9 months ago, maybe a year ago. Beautiful, beautiful book. I can't read it enough. I really can't. Every time I revisit it, I learn something new. So I would just encourage you, go and get this book. It's called Switch on Your Brain, Dr. Caroline Leaf. Even if you do one day, even if you just do half the steps, right? I know I'm doing step probably 1 through 3. I'm not doing 4 or 5 yet, but I'm constantly trying to work on 1 through 3. Even if you do steps 1 through 3, you'll be better off than if you hadn't bought the book at all or tried anything, okay? So Merry Christmas. God bless you. I hope you got something out of it today. We'll be doing something different every week in the new year. And have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. God bless you. Take care.